welcome to the Wrestling with Jeza podcast. Bit of a cooler day today. So I talked yesterday about how I really noticed just the last couple of years how the Matrix is just going out of its way to divide people. You know, like in every aspect of society. So it wants to get people into black or white thinking, us versus them, combative fundamentalism, ideology, all this sort of stuff. And it's interesting, this situation come to a head because I've had a number of comments about people in this country I'm in. And it kind of bothered me because I'm just thinking, I like these people, you know, and I just felt like the comments sounded like the cause of the comments sounded like mischief to me. And anyway, it's interesting, I went and asked one of these guys I'm friends with here, and he was aware of this kind of talk, said, like he didn't, he said like it wasn't true, but he didn't have anything bad to say about the other religions. Like he's kind of like and wasn't even aggressive about it. And I thought, wow, the amount of stuff that I've heard with all this stuff is just incredible. And as I said, I don't really want to go into it because I don't really want to get into people's beliefs on this podcast either, because people will all have their own beliefs. Like it's not about that. I'm not a religious person at all, and part of why I'm not, my main thing is I meditate and I get my own answers and connections without having, like, our conditioning is a filter anyway, so our nervous system is a filter anyway, but as little filters as I can is what I want. Because the mainstream kind of groups, they tend to set each other off each other and create rules and fundamental stuff. And the key is that if you start believing something where you're better than, I just think stay in your own lane. Because if it really is about sort of connecting to something higher, like there won't be so much focus on others. It's your own personal thing. Anyway, I don't want to talk too much about this because, as I said, people have very fundamentalist views and it creates rigidity in thinking. And for me, that's the opposite of where I want to go. Like, I'm not really here. I don't want to give opinions on stuff. You know, like I don't want to give those kind of opinions. What I want to do is actually give people an experience of ponder something or come into contact with something where they get an experience of, I can feel that in my body. Yeah, I've been hanging on to something, or I've been doing something that's been holding me back. It's something like that, to the effect that, so people have an experience and an opening that, or they hear something I say that is helpful, but it's not about me giving an authority on anything. My kind of thing is just, if anything creates sort of division, superiority, hatred, anything like that, particularly if I notice a campaign around it, which I really notice with this, then to me that's okay. Step way back. But anyway, it's just interesting how this guy had no malice at all, considering different things that were said. But anyway, I think the lesson kind of I want to sort of take from this is that, because as I said, I don't really want to get into religion with people. But what I want to take from this is that, and I always like to bring it back to what's something I notice in me that's having difficulty or something like this, or some challenge that might be helpful and relatable. Something I'm working on. And so what I would say to this topic is that if you notice yourself engaged in some sort of superiority, doesn't matter how justified, Like, we all kind of know when we're indulging in superiority. Then the first question is, like, where in your life do you feel inferior? Because when you feel okay, you don't need to do that, And if you actually feel connected, you don't need to worry about what anyone else is doing. And so, in fact, let's go into that now. We'll do a little meditation. So this is really a meditation about feeling not enough, because all judgment comes back to feeling not enough. Because if there's a need for judgment, then the judgment starts with the individual first. So that's why in the last podcast I talked about, okay, is there a need to let go of approval? Because anything around this, the start of it is from judgment. Separation and judgment. And so in your life, so just breathing in, where do you notice, or are there instances where you feel, and again, no judgment of the judgment, but are there instances where you feel that you judge others? And just take a deep breath in and just be aware of that. These are the areas where I feel I judge. And take a deep breath in. What's this situation actually a cover for? In other words, in actuality, where do I judge myself the most? And take a deep breath in. Because at the end of the day, it's not about you don't want to judge your judgment. We all judge ourselves. We all judge other people. But the more you let go of it, the more free you'll be. So where do I judge myself the most? And so just be aware of that and just stay with that feeling. What's the feeling I'm trying to get rid of in myself? And do you notice how there's judgment of the self? So can you let go of disapproving of yourself? Can you let go some more? Can you let go some more of disapproving of yourself? And you notice as you start to let go of the disapproval, the pain starts to diminish. Could you let go of criticising yourself? Could you let go some more? Could you let go of thinking you've done everything wrong, or thinking you've done something wrong? Can you let go some more? And notice how in the letting go of the self-condemnation, your mind goes quiet. And also notice how, as you let go of that, if you think back to the issue that you judged, notice that the sting is not there as much. Because essentially, the judgment projected outwards was really your own internal battle with yourself first. And so, anytime you feel you want to judge, you don't have to agree with other people's choices. But every time you notice yourself judging, ask yourself, what am I judging in me? What am I refusing to accept? And something helpful sometimes to take on is the statement you can say to yourself, it's okay to be human. It's okay to have humanness. It's okay for me to be human. Some amazing creations have come out of humanness, have come out of weakness that was turned to gold through exploration and just letting it breathe, letting it be as it is. When you let it be as it is, when you let it breathe, it can transform. So stay with the breath and that feeling of peace. And anytime that comes up, just come back to this exercise.